All right, let's talk about whether Justin Fields has already had it decided for him whether he's going to be the quarterback next year or not. And the writing's all on the wall. Everyone can see it, but the Bears obviously aren't going to come out and say it because they want to leverage that first round pick. But as close as you can get, Eberflus did in today's press conference. So I'm going to put some things of what he said on here, and then I'm going to put up Fields' stats, and then put a little clip from Tim Jenkins. But it's clear and obvious the Bears have full support behind Justin Fields. So let me pop that up here.
You mentioned yesterday that decisions about Justin's future have not been decided yet, like things are still up in the air. What are you hoping to see from him over these last two games to kind of help make that picture clearer?
Yeah, and really, what I should have added to that comment is everybody, right? We're all looking to evaluate, these last two games for our entire football team. It's not just Justin, it's the offensive line, the receivers, the defensive line, linebackers, secondary, everybody, right? So we're always looking to, have our eyes forward and get better every single year. But with him, it's just about being consistent. About really the good things he has done. What has he done over the last 5 or 6 games? Well, his sack total has been cut in half. That's been really good. Interceptions are down. He has one. If you take out the 2 and a half in the game interceptions that he had in Cleveland, so that's really good too. And then him being able to, evade the rush and look down the field to create some momentum plays going forward, and his rhythm and timing is improving too. So those are the tangible numbers we can look at, and just more consistency that way.
Matt, it felt like last year's the Atlanta game it felt like a tipping point, at least with Justin in terms of the runs and utilizing that asset of his in the offense. How difficult is that to find the balance from someone who's such a dynamic rusher, but also not putting them in position too often to make themselves susceptible to hits, and finding that balance for him as a passer too?
Yeah, Courtney, that's a really good question, and I think Justin has done that. If you look at the hits he's taken, as of late, he's done a really good job on the scrambles and the QB runs. For example, the one third down that he almost scored on the one sweep that he had, did a really good job of working from the hash to the numbers to the boundary, and also working himself out of bounds and not getting hit there, and not taking the undue hits that he doesn't need to take. So he's continuing to work on that, and but the balance has to be there, right? You have to have that, because you don't want to put your quarterback in harm's way, and part of that responsibility is on him too.
At times earlier in his career, it seemed like Justin was maybe an awkward slider. This is maybe a strange question, but do you think his sliding has improved as he's gone on? Because on one of those sweeps, it seemed like he did just slide really naturally to avoid it.
Yeah, I think it depends on how many yards he gets. When he gets a lot of yards, he slides with some swagger, and then pops up and does the first down signal. But yeah, I think he has improved on that.
There's no way you can take that except he's praising him. He is giving him compliments, and he's absolutely supporting him. And even when he talked about him sliding with some swagger, you can see a little smile come across his face. So let's take those last games he's talking about. Flus mentioned in Cleveland, and a lot of the haters bring up that he had 2 interceptions in Cleveland. Well, what happened? At the end of the first half, there was a Hail Mary to end the half. There's a lot of controversial Hail Mary. But when you replay it, it hit the ground. And the refs didn't replay it because it had no bearing on the game. But if the Bears really wanted to put up a fuss and Justin Fields was super concerned about his stats, he would, file a complaint against that. It hit the ground. It was clear. That's not an interception, but it goes down as an interception. At the end of the game, it bounced right off of Mooney, went to the defender, ended the game. Same thing. It didn't matter. So those 2 interceptions don't matter, but look at the rest of them. And then I went and pulled up all his sacks. His sack numbers are significantly down, but also Eberflus has talked before about 0-yard sacks, because you have a dynamic quarterback like Justin Fields who scrambles, extend plays, and sometimes he ends up going out of bounds or sliding down to take a 0-yard sack instead of having it, hit out of his hands or an interception. He has quite a few 0-yard sacks, and there's, out of the last 5 or 6 games he was talking about, probably a third of those are 0-yard sacks. And then you compare the rest of that, he takes some sacks now and then, but every quarterback does. The worst game was probably Detroit. There were 3. Aiden Hutchinson was all over him, and he took 3 legitimate sacks. But for the last 5 or 6 games, that's the worst game he's had. The Cleveland game, 2 of those were 0-yard sacks, 0 negative sacks. They were nothing. They don't really matter. So you have to take everything into context and really look at how he's playing. And he's playing like quarterback one. He's playing like a quarterback that deserves to be in the NFL, a starting quarterback. The Denver game should have been a win. The Minnesota game, he got hurt on, the first Minnesota game. That one, I mean, negate that one. Put that one out of there. That one, who knows? We might have come back and won, but he was injured. The Detroit game, we should have won. Cleveland game, we should have won. Look at those last games. I mean, he's a winning NFL quarterback. But I saw what Tim Jenkins put out, and I'm going to put that up here now. I want you guys to hear what Tim Jenkins' thoughts were on it. And yes, Tim Jenkins supports Justin Fields. There's also some haters that don't support Justin Fields. But these quarterback whisperers typically tend to see the greatness that the other coaches and top defenders like Nick Bosa, who said Justin Fields is the most difficult quarterback for him to defend, they see the same thing. This guy is legitimate.
Final thoughts are pretty simple. And they are that I think you keep Fields. I really do. I think you trade away the picks. I think you try to get some draft capital. I think you try to get some weapons. I think you try to fill some other holes because I think Fields has done enough to prove that he's a dynamic weapon at the quarterback spot. Now listen, I get that there are some generational talents at the top of this draft at the quarterback position or what we think are going to be that. So I get the argument of no, you start over at quarterback. I get the argument, too, that you want to get somebody on a rookie deal, right? You want to get a big-time quarterback on a rookie deal. So I get that, too. With all that being said, I just think Fields has played his way into being a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, if the Bears decide to move on, would I understand? Yes, I would understand. But if you're asking me, you're saying, hey, Tim, since I watched your YouTube video, I'm interested in what you think. And what I think is you keep Fields and you run it back. You get some more weapons around him because that's going to solidify it for him or whoever's next after him, right? Is if you have more weapons, you better up front. You got more guys that'll get the ball too. So,
all right. So for me, it's already been decided. It's already set in stone. Luke Getsy is on his way out the door. You saw that from this last game on that. I think it was 2nd and 6. Eberflus addressed it and said they were arguing whether he should be under center or in the shotgun. I think he's covering his butt there. The reality is, it's a professional organization, and they've all screamed class from day one. They've showed unity in the locker room. That was a moment where it leaked out that Justin Fields is frustrated with Luke Getsy. Leaked out earlier this year, too. They gave each other a little fake hug on the field. All was hunky-dory. They're not going to fire Luke Getsy mid-season. We've already got something going. It doesn't do anything to nullify that with 2 games left. The writing's on the wall. Luke Getsy's gone. They're going to find a top-tier, high-quality quarterback or offensive coordinator to come in that wants to work with Justin Fields, and I promise you there are oodles of them that want to work with Justin Fields in this offense and take us to the Super Bowl. So those are my thoughts. I think it's already been decided. Literally, I would stake stuff on it at this point. It's done. It's just a matter of the formalities. Let's finish this season off. Win them both. Our odds of making the playoffs are 1% at this chance. It's not going to happen, especially the way the Rams have been playing. And I don't see it happen. I would love to maintain the hope, so I'm going to, keep my fingers crossed and knock on some wood. But the reality is we're not going to the playoffs, but we can end up 8-9 and be that team like the Lions last year with momentum, with the team believing, with everything going for us and a huge offseason in front of us with oodles of cap space and one of the most draft capitals in the entire NFL. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I think we are primed for greatness, and I think Justin Fields is leading the way. It's all confirmed to me. I 100% believe at this point. All right, bear down.